Hello everybody. Spring, it's official. I'm going to take you up and I'm going to show you, for those on video, orchid. Not sure if the right word is orchid. Bulbs. I planted and then they've grown. They are so pretty, I have to show you. They are, look at these. I can't remember what the name is. As you know, as I said, I sort of planted things in a flurry of craziness. Look at these guys. How beautiful are they? But they look like orchids, don't they? But they're things I've planted in the ground. For those on audio, they are sort of blue and yellow, tiny little, kind of like a crocus, but they look tropical. That's what is quite interesting about them. And every day there's something else coming up. And it feels like the rain has receded, which is good. I think we've had like more rain than sort of the past 2 years in 1 week or something nuts. Every field around here is flooded. I was also eyeing up, we have a little river at the end of the garden. I was eyeing up the river going, not the end of the garden, end of the village. I was eyeing it up going, if you dare come in my house, because there was a flood the other week because the drain was blocked. So that's different. But anyway, no one wants to be dealing with the rainwater in their house, do they? Now then, formalities. Hello, my name is Christopher Sweeney. This is your, as is customary, weekly episode of emails and messages, reactions, live reactions to what's been going on in the previous week of the pod. And we are delighted to have you. This season, we are supporting Not a Phase. So, what we need to do is, if you know anyone who would like some gender-affirming underwear, or you indeed yourself would like some gender-affirming underwear, write in to hello@homosapienspodcast.com, at homosapiens on Instagram. Let us know, and we shall raise money and sort that for you. Secondly, if you want us to talk about anything, any reactions, etc. to episodes, we love hearing from you. hello@homosapienspodcast.com, at homosapiens on Instagram, and at Homosapiens Pod on YouTube. Now then, we have got every episode up there in video. So what I would say is, please, goodness me, will you go to at Homosapiens Pod on YouTube and subscribe. We need you. We need subscribers. Layton Williams and Straight People in Queer Spaces was our last episode. Thank you, everyone who has been writing in. And oh, look, it has a little button that says Visit Community. I can say, hi, this is Chris. Should I write there? It won't let me write. How do I do this? Top. Post. What's on my mind? It says, what's on your mind? But it won't let me type. Does anyone know why that is? Can anyone help? Posting isn't currently available. Oh, for God's sake. We did an episode about straight people in queer spaces last week with Layton Williams. Layton, who has just set sail for America to go and star in the Broadway version of Titanic. Can you believe that? So proud of him. Layton told this story about drop kicking a drag queen who was racist. And funnily enough, that provoked quite a large reaction. So lots of your messages, got lots of messages about that, overwhelmingly in support of the drop kick, shall we say. I had such a laugh chatting to Layton though. So we posted that clip. Have you also heard this rumour, changing the subject, that Jim Carey has been sort of going out and getting someone else to go out and pretend that it's him? Is that true? We also spoke in the episode with Layton about if you say partner, and Layton saying that it's kind of been co-opted by straight people, and someone then wrote underneath, which I thought was interesting. As a bisexual, you don't always know people in straight relationships using partner aren't themselves LGBTQ+. Also, if it was just for gay people, then wouldn't it defeat the purpose of using it as a gender neutral word, so you didn't have to out yourself? That was Sirius Scruffy said that. And yeah, it's two things. So one is that kind of speaks to the whole idea that Joe Lycett was talking about, actually, that, you know, bisexual people sort of are concealed within straightness if they're in a straight relationship for a bit. And then also kind of feeds into what we're talking about in the queer spaces. And what do you do about, do listeners like straight people in them, etc.? But how do you then accommodate for bisexual people who a bisexual person wants to, like, let's say a bisexual man wants to take his girlfriend in there because he wants to go and be with his queer friends, you know, you would read them as straight. So we have to be open. And really, listening to you all, the main issue was Hindus, and people kind of grabbing Prosecco mums, I think someone called it. Prosecco mums grabbing people, queer people on Hindus, and just sort of, I suppose, associating us with fabulousness. And once my friend said it's tourism, you know, and I think it's that, isn't it? Sort of like, oh, aren't you glittery and shiny, but I'll go back tomorrow once I've seen you. And, you know, we ain't Disneyland. You hear me? Right, let me just let the dog in quickly. Ridley, what did you do this morning? What was your little treat you left for me? A poo in the hall. And also, yeah, I know what you mean, this person, Sirius Scruffy, saying, if it was just for gay people, wouldn't it defeat the purpose of using it as a gender neutral word so you don't have to out yourself? So I didn't really know that that's what its purpose was, although it completely makes sense. But I thought it was more sort of not anti-marriage, but sort of the acknowledgement that you don't have to be married to be in a proper relationship. And obviously, pre-marriage being legal, that's why LGBT people used it. But it is also a softer way to say it if you feel you don't want to in certain environments. That makes sense to me. Other people who wrote things include Daniel says, "Good afternoodles," which I love as an opening. Daniel, thank you. Enjoyed the episode with Layton and a great subject. As much as I'm happy I came out when I did, I do wish I could have experienced Soho and some other spaces back in the day. I have a number of friends who always talk about it, and it does at times make me a little sad I didn't see it for myself. Daniel, amen, sister. Soho was lovely for that reason. What's interesting is, so Soho in London became the gay area. Then East London sort of became the gay area. But because times move faster now, I think Soho was gay for a long time before other people cottoned on. Whereas East London was gay, and then very quickly people cottoned on. So you didn't have the kind of sacred years in the same way, in my opinion. Going back to Daniel's email, I think the problem with Soho in particular, because I go there often now, is not just more straight, it's more commercialised, is probably the best way to put it. Yes, I agree. Compton's is the bar opposite the Admiral Duncan. Ah, yes, thank you. So we were talking, Layton and I were talking about his partner likes to go into a pub, and we were trying to remember the name of it. It's Compton's, which is on Old Compton Street in London. Admiral is more mixed. That was the one which is kind of very butch over the road at the Admiral Duncan. Admiral is more mixed, but Compton's, Welly, Duke of Wellington, and King's Arms are more of older bear bars. I went on a date at Welly, the Duke of Wellington, once, and I remember I was a lot younger. He was the first guy I was sort of really into. I was obsessed. And he said to meet there. And because I was in Gay shame had me in a chokehold. I hated that he suggested meeting at a gay bar. Made me really judge him. Actually, he was just super cool with his sexuality, and I salute him now. Definitely some, back to the email, definitely some set of house rules for the straight people would certainly help. I want the straight girlies to feel their oats, but the sense of entitlement, lack of awareness, and boundaries, and then when they get drunk is crazy. I also have the problem being a mustachioed gentleman. Daniel, I hope you listened to our episode about the moustache. Still available on the feed. With them trying to grab my moustache. They almost never ask, or their hands are on it before they've finished asking the question. But yes, really enjoyed. Thanks for sharing. All the best. Daniel, thank you so much for writing in. Please may you send us a picture of your moustache. It must be quite a beautiful thing. But yeah, that's unacceptable. Should not be happening. Don't grab people's stuff. If you just don't grab. It's like people with curly hair. It's like, don't grab my hair. And actually, our second daughter has curly hair, and I've noticed people grab it. And it's really interesting. I'm not talking about drunk girls in gay bars, but she hasn't quite entered that era of her life yet because she's one. But yeah, thank you for that. Sarah also wrote in. Hello, Sarah. Hi, Chris. Great pod with Layton. I saw him in Titanic the week he won the Olivier, and he was fabulous. Layton is a gift from God, I tell you. Wanted to add a couple of points to your discussion. You mentioned straight heteros, but trans people can also be straight. Sarah, thank you. So true. This is what we were talking about with Sean Fay, is that you end up being a trans person having to go into straight spaces because, you know, Sean has dated straight men. And the sort of rupture, the sort of troubles with that, I suppose. But anyway, going back to your email, Sarah, I'm sorry we missed that out. You did mention closeted queer people in queer spaces, but not the biphobia some people receive in queer spaces when they appear to be in straight relationships or a straight passing. Well, this is exactly what that person was talking about in my first message I was reading. Interesting. Straight passing, again. I remember, but this is me jumping out the email now. I remember when, again, back to gay shame chokehold era, when a straight person would come in, or actually more to the point, possibly a straight acting person would come into a gay bar way back when I was out a raging. So we're talking 20 years ago. It would be a real, like, the word would get out and everyone would be excited about the idea of, like, oh my God, because they're sort of straight looking, but you might be able to get off with them. Isn't that weird? Not weird, but you know what I mean. Isn't it funny what we didn't even didn't have the words or the acknowledgement that was linked to shame then. And I'm very glad I'm past that. Back to Sarah's email. I think it's important that spaces are predominantly for queer people, but without gatekeeping that could also exclude members of our community. Thank you. From Sarah. Them of the Kermit Miss Piggy theory. Sarah. That is so cool. I remember you sending in the Kermit Miss Piggy theory, which was every person is either Miss Piggy or Kermit in a relationship. I can't remember who I elected that I was at the time, but I'm going to say I'm Miss Piggy. Interesting, which makes William Kermit. Which makes sense. That makes sense. Sarah, thank you for your wonderful message. Now, listeners, what else is going on in the world? We are. Last week, I made a very loud pronouncement that we were going to be talking to Dr. Gareth Patterson, the Irish GP. Well, then, of course, we had to move the interview. So, in fact, that's happening tomorrow. Well, for today, for people who are listening. So I'll be talking to him. So just going off what you all asked for most, because there was a broad spectrum, we will get to them all. PrEP, Doxy PEP, HRT, actually, non-binary people, HRT, trans people and hormones, that kind of stuff. That's where we're going to start, and we will sort of continue to work through your list as we go, I suppose, is the answer. Now, that's all we've got time for today. Do send in your questions for the Irish GP. Do send in your topics that you'd like us to talk about. And think about it like this. You're a queer person. What gets up your nose? What frustrates you on a daily basis? Because that is normally a very good territory for, or where do you feel lost? Where do you feel like you don't know enough? That's normally a good territory for an episode. So, hello@homosapienspodcast.com, @homosapiens on Instagram. You know where to find us. And it's been absolutely delightful talking to you all, as ever. Can't wait to see what's sprung out the ground by next time we talk, huh? I've ordered some beech trees, beech bushes. They're called whips, which is when they're very, very small. And I'm going to plant them along one wall of the garden, so that'll be nice. Because part of our house looks over a churchyard, which is super cool. So I'm going to plant it along there. I've had a reminder go off in my phone to buy hollyhocks. Was it hollyhocks or what's the other one? And then, furthermore, so there's this amazing book called Sean Anthony Pritchard. He has a book called Outside In, and it's all about how to sort of plant your garden for flowers that you can put in vases throughout the year. And you don't need tons of space, just to be clear. So I planted lots of tulips this year with that in mind. So hopefully they'll be coming out next week. I don't know. It's quite interesting though, because there's still an apple. I was looking through the garden. There's an apple tree, right? There's still an apple hanging there from winter. And yet we're back in the new cycle. So that sort of feels prescient and circular. Listeners, I'm sending you loads of love. And we will speak. Oh, what's happening on Thursday? Whose episode is it? It says Tag Warner here, so that must be who we're talking to. All right, listeners, sending you loads of love. Bye for now.